The best crypto stocks for 2022 are going to be the ones that are currently undervalued, and in this video I'm going to show you which ones those are using one of my favorite stock analysis tools called VectorVest, and we're starting right now. In this chart of Bitcoin, we can see that we're starting to flirt with the recent lows of the range. The recent lows, I'm going to call it around 56, 55,000. And Bitcoin is starting to sort of worry some people here from a short-term perspective, and obviously not a long-term perspective. But what I want to do is, we're getting some pullbacks in some of the Bitcoin-related stocks. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to go into the VectorVest tool. This is a stock analysis tool. It's one of my favorite for really kind of looking at fundamentals of a company and earnings and things like that. So let's take a look at some of the crypto stocks. We're going to go to the sector viewer. We're going to go to the financial sector. I'm going to right click here and I'm going to view the industries in that sector. And then you're going to see that we have a special crypto stocks industry. So I'm going to right click that. We're going to view the stocks in this industry group. And these are the ones that they've identified in their system. You can see a lot of the big names. You've probably seen HUT, Marathon Digital, Riot Blockchain. I did a video about this one recently. I actually used this tool, and I will go through that here in a second. We have Argo Blockchain, a couple of those. I'm not really sure what the difference between Argo RBK and RBKF. There's probably some, A and B shares or something. I don't know. Tell me in the comments if you know what the difference is there. We also have some other ones. Hive, I've been in and out of. Fortress, I've never heard of. P means the pink sheet, so these are kind of, quote unquote, riskier, if you want to call it that. But what we're really looking at here is the relative value that this system's putting out. So we have the way VectorVest works is it gives it a VST rating, which is based on their relative value, safety, and timing. And it's got right now sorted here that we have HUT, Marathon Digital, Riot. Those are the kind of top three big ones. We have Hive down here. These are the ones that I typically kind of see. But what I want to do is help us decide, see this visually, why these stocks keep going up. Marathon's been on a tear. And one of the things that this system does, it tells you what the price is and what the value. So let's just take the top one, for example, HUT Mining. The current price of the stock is about $13, but it is valuing the stock at around $19. So VectorVest is telling us that HUT Mining is actually undervalued compared to its fundamentals, which I think is kind of interesting. If you look at Marathon Digital, it's about $55 a share. It's got it at $97. And again, these are longer term horizons. It's not like it's going to shoot up to 97. This is, within a year or two, it sees these stocks appreciating to the value number that it has. Now, if we look at Hive Blockchain here, Hive is a cheaper stock, $4, but look at the value. It's only 57 cents. So this one seems to be overvalued. And let's look at this in a different way. I'm going to graph all of these. And VectorVest has a cool sort of value versus EPS and earnings. So we're going to start at the top with HUT Mining. And we can see that the earnings per share is this graph underneath. So we can see we've had rising earnings per share over the course of the last year. This is a 1-year chart. And you can see this green line is the actual value that VectorVest is putting on the stock itself. So we can see that HUT for a while was trading extremely hot compared to its value. It kind of came back in a little bit and sort of re-met its value line. And now with the pullback in HUT, because we've seen crypto itself, Bitcoin itself, let me zoom in a little bit to a 6-month, we've seen Bitcoin kind of pull back a little bit, but the value of the stock is actually going up. So HUT looks like a good value buy for once we think, crypto has a bottom. I'm not using this for timing necessarily, but if you're looking to nibble for some long-term more investment holds, and you're looking to nibble on some stocks, I think HUT's got to be at the top of your list because it's at the top of VectorVest's list as far as value goes. So we can see that, obviously if crypto gives up the ghost here and goes down, I'm not saying it is, but if Bitcoin goes down, this stock's going to go down too. But when it's time to buy again, you're going to know that HUT is actually undervalued, and this could change over time as well. But in the moment, we've had steady earnings per share. The stock is rising. and it is pulling back with the price of Bitcoin itself, but it's considered undervalued. So it has a lot of upside potential once Bitcoin itself sort of stabilizes here. Let's go to the next one. We have Marathon Digital. A lot of people, some of the groups I talk with, they're like, man, how high can this thing go? Well, look at this. The earnings per share is actually doing really well, and the value is going up. So it's no wonder that Marathon had a really kind of massive spike during the last sort of Bitcoin run higher when Bitcoin was retesting, the 60, close to $70,000 level. But right now it's really pulled back. You're going to have a lot of support in this area, let's call it in the 40s if it gets down there. But this is one of those names that once Bitcoin stabilizes maybe it'll stabilize where it's at, I think you can start nibbling on this stock around $50. I do not have a position in this, and don't forget that I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just doing my own analysis, my own due diligence about buying these stocks. I'm not in any of these stocks right now. I already got out of Riot Blockchain. Let's go ahead and look at that one real quick. I did a video on Riot Blockchain a few weeks ago, and we analyzed earnings a little bit. In that video, I mentioned that the stock was undervalued, but I did not show the tool I was using. So I wanted to share that tool today. That's what the VectorVest tool is. And that video was done right in this area. And at that time, we had rising earnings and the stock was undervalued according to its fundamentals. And then as Bitcoin went up, this thing overshot itself. I actually had bought shares in this area, and then I had sold some covered calls, and it went like another 20% beyond my covered call. So I did not participate in this entire thing. I wish I could say I did. I did catch a nice 10, 15% gain in there. Bottom line is the stock was undervalued at that time. And with the more that Bitcoin itself goes up, a lot of the value of the stocks are going to go up. You can see as Bitcoin's pulling back here, the value actually comes down. So right now, Riot Blockchain is right at its value. But if Bitcoin continues to move higher, or maybe it finds support and then we go beyond 70,000, the value of this, the value line here is going to go up, and Riot Blockchain will most likely follow. Let's keep going down to look at another one. This is Argo Blockchain. I've not traded this one. It looks like it's a newer issue. And again, there's also ARBKF, which we'll look at in a second. So right now, it's a little bit new for me to get into this. I still think that this is going to be tied to to Bitcoin itself. So, earnings are positive and the stock is undervalued by a lot. It has the value here at, almost $30, and the stock itself is about 17. So over the next 1 to 3 years, is expecting this stock to raise in price to match the value. But again, going to be very dependent on the price of Bitcoin itself. Big Digital, this is another stop. And just, let's zoom out a little bit. Let's go back to a 1 year. The stock had a big run, is coming back eventually to getting close to meeting its value here. Earnings were positive, and now they're kind of dipping. So it's a very choppy earnings. The value is chopping around, but it's actually overvalued. So I would not actually touch this one, even though it's only $1.27. I know we get tempted with these low price stocks that, I can just buy 1,000 shares and this thing's going to rocket back up to $4. This really looks like one of those altcoins, when they get listed on Coinbase, they spike, then they trade sideways and base forever. But again, if Bitcoin goes up and the earnings can turn around, maybe the value would start to increase and this thing could go higher. But right now, not touching this one. Let's look at Galaxy Digital. Again, very mixed earnings. The value, it's actually, it's spiked up here and now it's back below. So it's just very sloppy and choppy, just something that I'm not really interested in from, an investment standpoint. And that's what we're really trying to talk about here. Let's keep going. Hive. I've been in and out of this one more from a technical basis, but when you look at the actual earnings and the value, it's definitely overvalued. Doesn't mean it can't go higher if Bitcoin goes higher. All these stocks could move higher. There's a lot of overvalued stocks in the in the market right now, obviously with the market trading at all-time highs. Let's keep going. DigiHost, DGHI, earnings are relatively steady. It's a little choppy in here, but very undervalued. It's down here at $5. Again, getting that pullback with Bitcoin itself. So again, once Bitcoin stabilizes, maybe it can hold the 50,000, mid 50,000 level. If it can start to retest its highs, this is one of those stocks I think you could nibble on and get at least retest a high. And if you buy in at, let's call it 6, and you can get back up to 8, that's a 30% gain in a short period of time. This is similar to what Riot Blockchain did. And let's keep going down the list here. Here is Argo Blockchain F. Again, not really sure what's going on here. Fundamentally, we have this undervalued. It is a cheap price stock. Earnings are, relatively steady, if you will, but again, not really sure the difference between two. I probably need to do a little bit more research on this one. But if Bitcoin goes up, this one will probably go up as well. Let's look at Fortress Blockchain. This is the last one in the list, and it looks like it's a very new issue. It's showing that it is undervalued here at 55 cents, but the earnings are just kind of, I think it's too early to tell. So this one we'll keep on the radar. Maybe we can get through 1 or 2 earnings cycles, and once Bitcoin does find some support, or maybe hopefully it'll stay in the mid 50s, 50,000 range before moving higher. But again, I just wanted to kind of show you some of the stocks in the crypto space that are undervalued. And again, those top ones are Hut, Marathon, Riot, and Argo. That's what I got for this video, and we'll see you in the next one.